Now let's do an overview of PPP, point-to-point protocol. PPP is a layer 2 protocol for WAN encapsulation. Its primary advantage is the fact that you can use PPP in a multi-vendor router environment. PPP involves two parts: a link control program and the network control program. The link control program is responsible for setting up the link itself. The network control programs are responsible for setting up the upper layer protocols that PPP would be used with. For instance, your IP, your IPX, etc. So you would see IPCP, that's an NCP, or IPXCP. So when you do a show interface serial 0, you would see that the encapsulation is set to PPP, and then you would see IPCP open if you're using the IP protocol, or IPXCP open if you're using IPX. The link setup, link control program, involves 4 options. These are authentication, compression, error detection, and multi-link. Authentication is provided by way of 2 particular protocols. We'll break those out. Authentication is provided by way of PAP or CHAP. Password authentication protocol or challenged handshake authentication protocol. Let's take a look at how each one of these works. PAP, password authentication protocol, passwords are sent in clear text. With PAP, there's a 2-way handshake that takes place. There's the attempt from the branch router here. Here's the branch router. There's an attempt from the branch router to log in or authenticate with the headquarters router, and then there's either an accept or reject message that's sent back. So with the branch router, there's the attempt, where the attempt involves sending a username and a password. That username and password will either be accepted or rejected. And keep in mind, passwords are sent in clear text. With CHAP, however, passwords are encrypted. With CHAP, the headquarters router would be the one that begins the handshake, and here there's a 3-way handshake instead. There's what's called a challenge, and then there's a response from the branch router here. The response involves sending an encrypted version of a response from the challenge. The challenge is basically a request for the password, and then there's a response, and then there's either accept or reject. And keep in mind, this whole process is encrypted using what's called MD5 hash. So with CHAP, passwords are encrypted, and the headquarters router is responsible for beginning the communication. In order to configure authentication, you'll want to make sure that you've done a few things. One, you'll want to make sure that you've turned on PPP encapsulation. Secondly, you want to make sure that you set a host name. Third, you want to configure a username and a password. And then fourth, of course, you want to enable the PPP authentication, and of course whichever method that you want to use, whether PAP or a CHAP. It's important to note that the username on one router, the username on this router is going to be the host name of the other router here. So the host name here will be the username here. Both of them will have to have the same passwords. And of course, you will also configure that in the reverse. The host name of this router will be the username that's configured on this router. And both, of course, have to have the same password. So that's a brief look at PPP, or point-to-point protocol. PPP is an ideal option to HDLC when you're going to a multi-vendor environment. PPP involves two primary options: the NCP's Network Control Program and the Link Control Program, LCP. LCP is involved with authentication and compression and error detection and multi-link. Authentication, of course, is provided by way of PAP or CHAP. PAP being clear text passwords and CHAP being an encrypted form of the passwords.